Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is the Paddy Power, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather, or the gym.
Hi there, welcome along to the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and I'm delighted to be joined by Graham Rodway and David Jennings, two of the Racing Post's finest tipsters, and also from Paddy Power, making a very welcome postcast return. It's Niall O'Reilly. Niall, you may remember, made the most stunning postcast debut when he didn't just tip, he napped the 33-1 winner of the Scottish National. So hopefully he's got plenty more for us. Right, it's Super Saturday. It's that day when you blink and you miss about 3 group races. They're off at Newmarket, York, Ascot. There's also a meeting at Chester being wedged in there. And we've also got, because it's Bastille Day, the Grand Prix de Paris, featuring no less than Kew Gardens, DXB and others. So tons to get through. We will start off though with a little whine from Mr. Jennings, because last week he was on fire on the postcast. He was absolutely laying winners like a chicken lays eggs. And David, did Twitter respond by showing you loads of love?
I was there, right? And obviously Roaring Lion won the Eclipse, and Judicial won, and obviously myself and Paul fancied the Johnson winner Making Miracles as well. And it was one of these days where I was like, I can't wait to click into Twitter. I'm really looking forward to this. And I clicked in and it was like no notifications. I was like, oh, my internet must be broken. Hold on. So I went from like Wi-Fi to 3G, still no notifications. So I got one tweet. So I got so thick that Jack sent out an email with all our selections on it. So I took a screenshot and put it up and said, and then I kind of said something to Paul Keeley. So I basically just was looking for praise.
You were fishing there, weren't you?
I was fishing, yeah. But just goes to show you what people want. They only want to give out.
You don't get that on Twitter anymore, G-Rod. You're pretty jaundiced about Twitter now, aren't you?
Yeah, it's just turned into like a horrible little place, isn't it? Where you log on and you know every day that someone's probably going to either be slagging you off, or they're going to be moaning about something, or it's going to be negative this, negative that. Does anyone actually even put up anything positive on Twitter anymore? I can't be bothered with it.
I think when you do, you still get slagged off. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, you can't win.
There's lots of nice people on there, but the trouble is that's been diluted by all the hate and the bile. Never mind that. Let's get stuck into a superb day's racing, and we'll start with the big race of a very, very busy day. It's the 2:15 at Newmarket. It's the not the Jolly July Cup, but the Darley July Cup. A Group 1, a cracking sprint, and a really good betting heat as well, Niall. What's the latest betting from Paddy Power?
Yeah, so Blue Point is our 3-1 favourite. US Navy Flag is 5-1. Ektidar 11-2. Sans Mali 7-1. Dreamfield 8-1. Redkirk Warrior 9-1. Lamato 10-1. And 14-1 Bar.
Right, now before we get stuck into who we fancy, I just want a number from each of you between 1 and 10 with how confident you are about your selection. This will decide who goes first. G-Rod?
6.
David Jennings?
9. This is my nap.
Oh, lovely. And Niall?
9.
Well, we'll go straight to DJ then.
Yeah, I don't think this is a particularly good July Cup. It's really interesting because it's always interesting because they've got the 3-year-olds getting weight off the older horses, but I don't think the 3-year-olds are actually that good. I really fancied Ektidar, who won the Commonwealth Cup, but I never thought he would be up to win the July Cup, and I wouldn't be surprised if Sands and Mali reversed that form, but I just think I think Blue Point is head and shoulders above these. I think he's a 6-furlong horse that was obviously masquerading as a 5-furlong sprinter, and he did terrifically well to win the King's Stand. And the thing I loved about him there was Batash went a proper clip that day, and just the ease with which he travelled through it. And, you know, the winning distance was, I think, 1 3/4 lengths, but from the 2-furlong pole, there was only ever going to be one winner there. I think he's getting better all the time. I think Newmarket is certainly made for him. I know he was beaten by Churchill in the Dewhurst, but you know, it was a decent enough Dewhurst that day. And I just think he's rated 120. I think he is possibly the best 6-furlong horse in training when you take out Harry Angel. I just think that crop, that Caravaggio, Harry Angel, Blue Point crop, are the best sprinters we've seen for some time. And the fact that Caravaggio or Harry Angel aren't here, I think Blue Point will pick up the pieces. I think 130 is very fair, and I think he'll win. A
very confident shout by David Jennings. Niall O'Reilly, you are as confident. Is it about the same horse?
No. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree with DJ here. The one I really like is Sands of Mali. Now, as DJ said, I'm convinced he was the best horse in that Commonwealth. I thought that the time in the Commonwealth compared favourably enough with the Diamond Jubilee, and they get £6 here, which I think could be enough. I thought Ectodar might struggle to confirm the form at this type of track, whereas I thought it would really suit Sans Mali.
He was absolutely flying at the finish at Ascot, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I'm pretty sure he was the best horse in that race. Blue Point sets a decent standard. I'm just worried all his best forms at Ascot. And I think 5 furlongs, like a fast 5 furlongs, is probably his ideal trip now. So the trip is slight negative for me. So yeah, Sans Mali.
Okay, Sans Mali for Niall and Blue Point for DJ. Graham Rodway, who do you like?
It's funny, isn't it? Because before DJ started talking, I was going to say, any Group 1 that Blue Point is favourite for can't be a very strong race, because I don't think he's that good. I like the other Godolphin horse, Dreamfield, who John Gosden was at pains to try and make a case for everything else in the race in the Wokingham, saying, this horse is going to have to be a group horse. That's one of my favourite things to look out for in racing, is when John Gosden comes up before the big race and starts making a strong case for everything apart from his own horse, then you know that he obviously really fancies his own horse. And that was exactly what happened last week in the Eclipse. He came on saying, Saxon Warrior, well, we're going to struggle to beat him. And he even made a strong case for Raymond Tusk, which was 66 to 1 outsider. And then sure enough, Roaring Lion just beat them all. And he was doing the same thing with this Dreamfield in the Wokingham. And he doesn't mess around. He knows how good these horses are.
You are aware Dreamfield got beat?
I know, but he should have won, shouldn't he? I mean, he kicked miles clear. He had the race, won. It was a typical Ascot race, a bit like Batash when Blue Point went and beat him. I mean, Batash went far too fast, and Blue Point was flattered to come through and beat him. I think that was the point I think that was exactly what happened with Dreamfield in the Wokingham. Was Bacchus just come through and picked up the pieces. This quicker test will suit him. This is a much easier track than Ascot. One of the biggest fallacies in racing is that there's a stiff uphill finish at the Newmarket July course. There is a stiff uphill finish, but it is downhill all the way up to that. And they go fairly fast, and I think this track will suit Dreamfield.
Excellent. Okay, we're off and running. Now then, let's look at the first race at Newmarket. It's the 105. It is the Bet365 Superlative Stakes for 2-year-olds. And I've got to tell you guys, I don't think there is a race where the form has been so heavily franked as this. Have you had a look at it, G-Rod? I mean, basically, all these runners who've won, everything else is sort of coming out and winning. It's an astonishingly strong heat, potentially, this one, you know?
Yes, I have had a good look at this race.
I'm glad to hear it. And who have you come up with?
I fancy Certain Lad at the prices. I thought Quarto was the most likely winner. He was very impressive when winning there last time out, but there's no doubt about it. Certain Lad comes in with by far the strongest form. I mean, that run last time out at the Curragh when he was behind Van Beethoven, that's, for me, is the best run on offer here. And he was standing on really strongly towards the finish. He's shaped like he wanted 7 furlongs. He gets back up to 7 furlongs here. I think that will really be ideal for him. And for all that, there's loads of horses in there with plenty of potential who could be top class. They're going to have to go some to match the form that Certain Lad's already shown.
Certain Lad for G-Rod, very strong heat this. Niall, before we get your fancy, run through the betting for us.
Yeah, so Quarto is our 9-4 favourite, Cape of Good Hope is 9-2, Neverland Rock is 5-1, Certain Lad is 6-1, Defar is 6-1, Blow My Wind 8-1, and Forsetti is 9-1.
Who do you like, Niall?
Yeah, I really like Quarto here.
Do you think Quarto could be a star?
I do, yeah. She was she was visually very impressive on her only start, where she clocked some impressive sectionals in the second Frank the Form yesterday, I think. She's by De Bowie out of Volume, who was third in Oaks.
She's a he.
Oh, sorry, he. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, he's by De Bowie out of Volume, who was third in Oaks. So we should relish this step up in trip. I don't fancy Cape of Good Hope. And Aidan O'Brien Bar last year has a pretty poor record in this. The danger might be Neverland Rock, who I really liked last time. But yeah, I'm hoping, as you said, Quarto could be a star. And
lovely stuff.
Yeah, sorry, the 3-1 around would look too big, I think.
Okay, DJ, this could be a race to look out for, couldn't it, in the remainder of the season? Look, decent bunch this, don't they?
Oh, yeah, they are, but I think there's one head and shoulders above them, and I'm just delighted that Niall has echoed my thoughts. This Quarto, as he said, out of Volume, and Volume was a very good 2-year-old, and I just absolutely love Quarto's debut. Like Handmaiden, who it beat convincingly, like I think the winning distance was almost 3 lengths. Annihilate. Handmaiden travelled like the winner for a long time in a really good maiden at Newmarket on Thursday. That form looks pretty strong, I thought that was a good maiden that evening last month in Newmarket. And Quarto, like, he's not that big. Like he's kind of a power-packed kind of little individual. But I just think he's going to be a really good 2-year-old, and he's a type of 2-year-old I could see actually going the season unbeaten. I'm not so sure whether he's going to be as good at 3, but as Niall said, there's some 3-1 out there. This is a proper juvenile.
Graham, do you want to change your mind now after hearing those compelling cases, or are you standing firm with certain lad?
No, I was very impressed with Quarto, but my issue was I didn't make it any shorter than 3-1 chance, and it is 3-1. So for me, there's no value there.
Okay, let's move on to the 140. It's the Bet365 Bunbury Cup, a handicap for which Gilgamesh is the fav, Niall.
Yeah, Gilgamesh is 9-2 favourite, Mukalal 13-2, Mubtazim 8-1, Maxime 9-1, Spanish City 10-1, Firmament 12-1, Speculative Bid 14-1, Majajak 14-1 and 16-1 bar.
And it's your go to go first, Niall.
Yeah, I really like Mukalal here. He shaped really well in the Hunt Cup, where he didn't quite see out the mile after an absence. Prior to that, he beat Tribute Act over 7 furlongs at Ascot, and she's now rated £19 higher than she was that day. I didn't think there was a huge amount of pace on tomorrow, so I'm hoping he just grabs the rail from stall 4 and stays there. I do really like Gilgamesh, who I thought would be backing, but I'm just worried about him being held up here, which can make winning difficult at a track like this. So yeah, Mukalal for me at 7-1.
And who for DJ?
I'm going for, I think, one that could be one of the outsiders of the whole field, and I'm pretty confident this will run really well. Tupi from the Richard Hannon stable, back over 7, back at Newmarket. He's ran 6 times at Newmarket. He's won twice and been second twice. And if you go back through his form at Newmarket, he's got some really, really good form here. He was second to Home with the Brave in a listed race. Then he won a listed race. Then he won another listed race. He ran against Time Test then, and then he was second to Magical Memory in a Group 3 in that Abernath Stakes. And I just think 7 furlongs Newmarket is the perfect track, and it just seems to me that he's been completely aimed at this race, because he's ran twice over 6 at Ascot and Windsor, and there was much more sign of life last time at Windsor. He was third behind Ice Age, and it was a decent enough sprint. Double Up was in it, Gracious John was in it. Just thought 6 furlong is just too sharp for him. I think he's won 4 times. 2 of his wins have been over 7 and once over a mile. I think he's better at this trip. Richard Hannon, I think 2 going into Friday, I think 3 of his last 4 runners have won. I just think they're starting to hit top gear. It's about, I think there's some 33-1 out there about Tupi. I think he'll run really well.
Did you notice David actually took a breath halfway through that? I'm sure he just did a little... I don't know how he does it, honestly. He'd be brilliant at Paddy. Graham Rodway, who'd you like?
Yeah, that was shorter than usual from DJ, and I actually quite like the argument as well. I did back Tupi on both of his last 2 starts when he didn't win.
Don't back him this time.
And I'm not going to.
Who are you going to back?
We're going to go through my book of what I think are bad rides. Now, Gilgamesh, last time out, for me, was one of the worst rides I've ever seen. I mean, the Ed Gray tricks, I don't know what he's doing. He was getting in all sorts of bother. He was weaving left, right.
You ever tried sitting on a racehorse at 30 miles an hour?
Well, I wouldn't stay on, you know, and the horse certainly wouldn't carry me, that's for sure. I mean, God, Ed Gray tricks to do a better job than me, but I wasn't impressed with that weaving in and out, not least because I backed Gilgamesh each way, 6 places, and he finished 7th beaten and
Always
nose
the way.
6th.
Always
so maybe
the
I
way.
am pocket talking as well, but I think that Gilgamesh was unlucky and is the right favourite here. But the one that I'm really like is a massive price. It's Von Blucher, who comes into the category of another of my worst rides I've ever seen, and that came in this race last season when he should have won it, in my opinion. PJ McDonald, who rides again, he had him anchored out the back and he was travelling all over the field off a £4 higher mark than he runs off here. However, he didn't come until far, far too late. He delivered the challenge far too late, absolutely flew home. I think he finished 6th or 5th, but I remember distinctly him finishing just outside the places when I'd backed him each way, very similar to Gilgamesh. And if you watch the way he's been ridden since over the trip, he has been ridden more positively. He won nicely at Newcastle early in the season. He was always in the first 2 that day. And I don't expect PJ McDonald to be making the same mistake here. I think he'll have him right up there. He travels really well, this horse. He's got course form. He loves fast ground. This has been his race for me for a long time. I've just been waiting for him forever. Since I saw him win at the course, over the course and distance a couple of years ago, when he was with John Gosden. He's now with Rebecca Menzies, which only helps with the price, but she's very, very good and well up to the job. I'm really hopeful that Von Blucher can recoup my losses from last year.
I'm definitely backing Von Blucher there. 25-1 with Paddy Power. Well done, G-Rod. The 320 at Newmarket is the Bet365 Mile. It's a handicap, and what's the latest from Paddy Pari on this one, Niall?
Yeah, so Curiosity is our 7-2 favourite, Ibraz 4-1, Argentello 9-2, Makarab 11-2, First Contact 13-2, and 12-1 bar.
We had a story last week that the favourite trod on one of the stable's much-loved pets. Thankfully, it turned out not to be true, but it meant that we couldn't run the headline, Curiosity killed the cat. I thank you. G-Rod.
Curiosity's probably got the strongest form in the race, and I think he's got a massive chance, but there's just two big prices that I like. There's no way Clubbable can be a 12-1 chance. I mean, she is so tough, this horse. Back to when she won at Chelmsford a couple of starts ago, and she flew home having looked beaten all ends up. And at Chelmsford, they don't very often win from there. And I was so happy with Clubbable, you know, you can just tell by the enthusiasm. I was so happy with the attitude that she showed. And it was the same at Kyle Lyle last time out, when she got in behind a bunch of horses and absolutely flew home to be second to Dance Diva, who's also a Cheveley Park horse, and looked in desperate need of a step up in trip. And she's going to get that here. I think Club will run really well. And the other one that I'm interested in is Karun for Sir Michael Stout, who's obviously had a fantastic season and brilliant Royal Ascot. And this one won nicely, well, 2 starts ago and 3 starts ago. And I thought all the Stouts runners were needing the run at the time when this horse won at Goodwood, and it held on nicely. Now, last time out finished last at Doncaster, but if you watch the race, he completely misses the break, ends up coming from one side of the track to the other side of the track, comes with a winning run. You think he's going to run. He traded very short in running at Betfair, and then all of a sudden just completely capitulated, obviously missing the break and then weaving around at the back and having to come round horses must have taken a toll on the horse, and I think he's worth another chance after that. And that race has thrown up loads of winners as well.
Great. Couple of big prices there for G-Rod, Clubbable at 14s and Karun at 12s. David Jennings, who do you like here?
I never thought this day would come, but I'm going to agree with Graham Rodway. I think Clubbable is completely overpriced and underestimated here. Agree with everything Graham said. This is dangerous now, Graham. I think this is unprecedented. But Clubbable, she's so tough. And like that run in a listed race at Carlisle, that's one of the best pieces of form and offer in this race. I still think off 94, she has more scope for improvement. I'd be shocked if she went off a double figure price.
Niall?
Yeah, it was me who priced this. So the lad's just blatantly slagging my price in there, but that's okay.
Don't take it personally. If no one took issue with the prices, no one would have a bet, no.
I know. The one I like is Makarab here for Side Bin Sarer. It's his first handicap, and a mark of 96 is probably no gimme. But based on his last run, I'm fairly sure he could be a group horse. That run was over 7 furlongs, and it's the closing section that caught my eye, as it was faster than 2 5-furlong races on the same card. Now they were inferior horses, but I definitely think it's something to note. We're 11-2, but there's as big as 7-1 out there, which is definitely too big in my opinion.
Lovely. 4 TV races down, 6 to go. York next.
Success ain't earned, it's bought. That's why at Paddy Power, we paid the big bucks for the best tech nerds in the world to develop our new, fastest ever app. Download the new app from the App Store or Play Store now. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
OK, let's look at York's 4 ITV races, starting with the 155, John Smith's City Walls Stakes. It's a listed race, and like so many of these TV races, it's a difficult one to pick as far as the market goes. Wide open, Niall O'Reilly.
Yeah, so Stone of Destiny is our 130 favourite, Muttmere 7-2, Alpha Delphini 4-1, Takeover 4-1, A Moment of Madness 8-1, El Astronaut 9-1, and 12-1 bar.
And David Jennings, who wins?
I'm going to chance Muttmere. I just think he's thriving on racing at the moment. I thought it did remarkably well to get within a neck of Judicial. Judicial had to run the race at Sandown last week. And like I was on this podcast a few weeks ago and I said Muttmere is finished, forget about him. You know, he's gone at the game. And I just think the last couple of weeks, obviously won at Haydock, was just beaten at Sandown, and I just think he's thriving on racing at the moment. And you know, this is not a great listed race. I think he's just in the form. Like he's not in the form that he was in a couple of years ago, but I think he could be in good enough form to win this. And
Niall, who do you like?
Yeah, I really like Muttmere as well. I think 5 furlongs, good to firm ground at York is just right up his street. And yeah, I think he'll be able to give away the penalty. The Fav Stone of Destiny, his best form's all in the all-weather Ascot, and just over 5 furlongs here, I'd be a bit against him now. But yeah, Muttmere for me.
Is it 3 for Muttmere, G-Rod?
No, I'm not a massive fan of Muffmere at all. I think he's been a bit of a disappointing horse throughout his career. Don't get me wrong, he loves fast ground and this will suit him, but he's the sort of horse that always goes off favourite and always finishes second or third, and let's hope that happens again behind Take Cover, who really loves this track and has won this race twice, 2014 and 2017, and he's back for another crack this year. To my eye, he's got just about the best form on offer at the weight, and this is his test, a real quick 5 furlongs. He loves it. Take Cover, loves fast ground, York. He'll be blasting away. I don't think they'll get to him.
Okay, the 235 is the Group 3 John Smith Silvercup. Take it away with a show of betting, Niall.
Yeah, so Dal Harald is our 11 to 10 favourite. Scotland is 4 to 1. Time to Study 9 to 2. Dylan Mount 5 to 1, and My Reward 14 to 1.
Right, this looks a bit easier, doesn't it, G-Rod? Maybe not.
Not really, no. I don't really like the favourite at all, Dale Harold. I mean, he's a very rock-solid sort of performer, but I don't think he's anything outstanding. I'm not sure I want to be taking that short a price on him. Now, one horse that I've always thought had the potential to be outstanding, but has never quite got there, has been Scotland. But he might be good enough to win this. Andrew Balding has got absolutely loads of entries tomorrow. I tried to mark down all of Andrew Balding's entries, and there were so many, I got bored halfway through.
Why don't you just go on the website and key in Andrew Balding and their entries, and they'll all come up?
I did do that, but there's so many that even when you list them, there's and I think that's because the stable is really, really starting to fire at the moment, and let's hope that Scotland could do it. I mean, he's a horse with loads of back class, disappointing recently, but he has the ability if he turns up on a going day.
Scotland for G-Rod. Niall O'Reilly, who are you going to go for?
Dal Harald should be really tough to beat, but I think the one to back against him is Time to Study. I think this is his ideal trip, and he ran really well here behind Mermello in these conditions 2 runs ago, though I'd be having a very small bet in this race.
Do you like a little each way in this kind of make-up of a race then, Niall? So you've got a short favourite, 5 runners, so you've got 40% chance of getting placed, or would you just go all up to win here?
No, I'd be each way here. I don't fancy that Dylan Mount. He's just unproven at the trip, and Scotland has questions to answer after his last run, so yeah, it's a good each way bet for me.
And DJ?
Yeah, I don't fancy Dylan Mount at all. Don't fancy My Reward. Scotland, as Niall said, has plenty to prove. I don't think Time to Study is good enough. So by process of elimination, it's very boring. But I think Dal Harold is rock solid.
Okay, 310, the John Smith's Racing Handicap. And Owen Burrows has the favourite here, I believe, Niall.
Yeah, Waddle Safa is 11 to 4. Bless Him 9 to 2. Get Not at 5 to 1. Third Time Lucky 5 to 1. Barrowees 7 to 1. Commander Cole 8 to 1. 12 to 1 Pari's Mountain, and 14 to 1 Rousseanne.
I'll tell you what, you boys have had to do some study for this, haven't you? It's a lot of tough old races. Niall, lead on.
I thought Bless Him was a big eye catcher in the Hunt Cup, and he's been dropped £2 for that. This is his trip and ground. I think he'd be pretty hard to beat. The Fav could obviously be well treated, but he's a bit keen at Ascot. That just puts me off. I like Get Knotted, though. I'm not sure a mile is his trip. So yeah, it's Bless Him for me.
And who for David Jennings?
Yeah, I'm blessing him as well. I can't believe he's dropped £2. I know it says he finished 9th of 30, but it was like Settle for Bay won convincingly, and he was bang there for the places. He was 3rd of 10 in his group. He's only ran 8 times, so he's unexposed. I think he's probably a 3-figure horse, and a race like this, ground, track, trip, everything is in his favour. I think he's 9 to 2 with Paddy Power, but there's bigger out there. I agree with Niall. Thankfully, I think Bless Him will win. Okay,
now we haven't had any 3-star tips yet. Are we going to get one here, or are you going to go against the boys again, G?
No, sadly, I'm a huge fan of Get Knotted, but I think he wants a strongly run 7, exactly what Niall says, and I think the favourite will win this, Waddle Safa. Beat Herculean, who is a big, huge horse. I think he's by Frankel, and won quite nicely at Pontefract the other day.
Jeez, he just got up.
Yeah, but he's a big gangly type, isn't he? I mean, he can't get out of his own way, you know what I mean? I'm sure the ability is there.
I don't know what you mean, no.
Anyway, I think
he can't get out of his own way.
Yeah, like when he learns to race this horse, this is not Waddle Safa, this is Herculean. I'm sure that he's got the potential to be a group horse, but you've just got to get there.
Okay.
And
Waddle be a half a length at 1 to 6 at Pontefract.
Yeah, but it was never ever in doubt, honestly. If you had taken the 1 to 6, you would never thought you were going to get a beat on Herculean. Waddle Safa beat him 2 runs ago. Last time out at Royal Ascot, I did quite fancy Waddle Safa, but It didn't really work out. Maybe a bit too early in the career. You know, it was a big field handicap. This is a better opportunity, and I expect Weddell Sefer to bounce back.
Righty-ho, the 340 at York is the John Smith's Cup. It used to be the Magnet Cup, didn't it? It's the John Smith's Cup now. And David Ellsworth has the jolly. That dash of spice was so impressive last time out. What price is he now, Niall?
Yeah, he's 4-1 favourite. Just saying we're an extra place in this race for anyone who likes betting each way. Can I also say that we're actually an extra place in the July Cup and the 140 Newmarket, as well as an MBS if Blue Point or US Navy Flag wins that July Cup.
Lovely.
Okay, yeah, I'll just read on the prices. 4-1 Dash of Spice, Thundering Blue is 13-2, Afak is 9-1, Kinren 12-1, Barocco 12-1, Appeared 14-1, Another Touch 14-1, What's the Story 14-1, Across Dubai 14-1, Morden 14-1 and 20-1 bar.
Graham Rodway, who wins?
A lot of horses that I know well in this race.
How many in the tracker?
A few of them have spent some time in the tracker. Kinneran being the most interesting of the lot. Disappointing last time out, but that was quite a tough test. But 2 runs ago at Sandown, Brigadier Gerard night, I was there with Paul Keeley having the 50th birthday celebration it was, and he
You
could
look well
not,
for 50.
He was so confident. I have never seen him so confident a horse would win a race as he was in that last race at Sandown. Now, it might well have been the several glasses of champagne that he had ingested.
Swinging his trousers around his head at the time.
Exactly, and oh dear, well, how this horse did not win. You know, he just was out the back. He was given far too much to do. Absolutely flew home and beaten by a fast diminishing small margin that I can't remember.
Did Keels watch the racing passively, or did he stand there swearing at the jockey throughout, all the way out the home straight?
Yes, yeah, that's pretty much how it went, and so did the whole table, because the whole table had backed it on Paul's advice as well, and they were all very unlucky not to collect, because Kinneran was by far the best horse in that race, and I think this race might set up well for him. There's obviously going to be a decent pace. This myth that York's a front runner's track is complete nonsense. It is not at all. I think it will suit Kinneran, and I think he'll come through and take them late. Kinneran
for G-Rod. David Jennings, you got a strong view?
I do. It's almost as if Paddy Power have read my mind here, and I fancy Appeared, who is 10s with most firms, 11 with some firms, 12 at 1 and 14-1 with Paddy Power. So they obviously knew I was going to tip him, and they obviously, for that reason, will be taking him on. Appeared is interesting here. It ran really well in the Duke of Edinburgh at Royal Ascot. It finished 4th. I fancied it that day. But got a really aggressive ride from Andrea Zeni that day. Traded at 2.14 in running, got to the front 2 out, and then obviously had its heart broken by Dash of Spice. But it's got good York form as well. Like it won a 20-runner handicap at York back in 2016. Likes the track. It's down in trip now. It's off the same mark. Like I just wonder if that race at Royal Ascot was over a mile 2. Obviously Dash of Spice would have won because he was thrown in. But I think Appeared would have been a rock solid second. And if it was over mile 2 and he was a second in that race, and I think he was the moral second because he went with Dash of Spice when the race needed to be run. I think 14-1 if Paddy Power are paying an each way price back. Paying for 6 back down to mile 2, I think will suit at a track like York where he's won. I think Appeared 14-1 each way will do for me.
Okay, not surprisingly, after you made that very eloquent case for Appeared, Paddy Power, instead of being 14-1, now 16-1. Niall.
Yeah, the one I like is Thundering Blue. Now, I didn't fancy him at all at Ascot, given how he was going to be ridden and where he had to come from on his first try at a mile 4. I think this is much more suitable with these being his ideal conditions on a track he's proven it. Dash of Spice could be hard to peg back, so I'm hoping this trip could be just sharp enough for him, and obviously the change in jockey, I'm not sure it's a positive anyway. So yeah, it's Thundering Blue for me.
Great stuff, lads, well done. Ascot next.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Simply place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week, and you'll get a free £10 bet then next week. T&Cs apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, welcome back. Bruce Millington, Graham Rodway, David Jennings and Paddy Power's Niall O'Reilly. We're looking ahead to 2 televised races at Ascot on Saturday afternoon, starting with the 12:45, which is the Bet with Ascot Heritage Handicap. 5-1 the field, Niall.
Yeah, it's Major Jumbo, who's 5-1 favourite. Spring Loaded 8-1. Line of Reason 8-1. Copper Knight 10-1. Tanasock 10-1. Polybius 12-1. Evergate 12-1 and 14-1 bar.
Have you got this one sussed, Niall?
Yeah, I think I do. The one I'm going to put up is Polybius, who I thought shaped really. I thought he shaped really well on his return at Epsom over 5 furlongs, and I'm not sure he really liked the track either. He was second in this race last year, or £6 lower, or £6 higher, behind Danzino, and I think he looks sure to go close again. He looks overpriced with some other firms. I think there's 16 and 1 around. We're obviously 10. The draw looks okay. I think he's in 12 or 13. I think you probably want to be high here, as I think Copper Knight is going to blast off from stall 17, so anywhere near him is a good draw.
The sound of David Jennings' thunder being stolen is a beauty. Go on, David. Why do you fancy Polybius?
It's so frustrating because, you know, if you're on with Keels or Niall O'Reilly, right, and they actually tip a horse, like, people actually really respect them, whereas me,
Are you saying they don't respect G-Rod's tips?
I don't think I have the same amount
You know
of
they
respect.
don't respect yours, but...
Yeah.
That's really... Are you offended, G-Rod, by that?
Yeah.
I should think you are.
Sorry, Graham.
Yeah.
Sorry, Graham.
Go on.
But it's just frustrating because everybody thinks I'm just going to copy him there. The only difference I will say that I have to Niall is that I call the horse Polly Bias. So maybe it's slightly different. But yeah, like that run in the race last year, it was a cracker, £6 lower. Like, I just echo everything that Niall said. And yeah, I'm a big Polly Bias or Polybius fan.
Polybius it is. Polly Bias, honestly. It's worse than Musselburgh or whatever you used to call it. Graham.
Muse Seeker, for me, at a big price.
Don't sound too confident.
This is the part of the sort of running order where we started to get quite a way in.
You're flagging, aren't you?
Quite a 3 races through. And I was like, well, I had a quick look at my tracker, which is obviously very, very important to me. And Musica was in the tracker. I can't tell you why, but it wouldn't be in there if there wasn't a good reason for it. And hopefully it's because it wants 5 furlongs at Ascot. This is its first run over a stiff 5. And it must have been showing plenty of pace over 6 for them to drop it back. Does that sound good enough?
No.
Convincing enough?
It's called Musica, I think.
Oh, I thought it wasn't running there because I thought it was called News Seeker. So I was like, he's actually tipping a horse
like
that's
the
not
New
running.
Seekers, the 70s folk band, yeah.
Yeah, but it's all right, I have
New
it now.
Seeker.
Well, it's better than Polly Bias.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Well, I know which one I'm going to be backing out of these. I think Niall and DJ grabbed me by the lapels and basically said, you've got to back Polybius. And then, Graham, that was the weakest tipping case I've ever heard. Right. The 120 at Ascot is the Fred Coley MBE Memorial Summer Mile. It's a Group 2, and how do Paddy Power bet, Niall? Beat
the Bank is our 3-1 favourite. Century Dream is 7-2. Lord Glitter's 9-2. Eminent 8-1. Trey Fleur 8-1. Arod 9-1 and 12-1 Bar.
So, G-Rod, is it A-Rod for you?
No. I don't like A-Rod. I don't like him at all.
Very good.
There's too much competition. This is a race where like 2 of the first 3 favourites want soft ground, though. They certainly beat the Bank. I've always thought wanted cut. And well, it's funny because before Royal Ascot, we were doing the live tipster and was asked on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, can we flag up horses?
This is Craig David's.
Can we flag up horses who don't like quick ground, who hate quick ground, you know? So I obviously said, you know, Lord Glitters, all his best forms on with cut, and then he almost won the Queen Anne on really quick ground. But this old mantra that they go on it once, is that true?
I don't know. I've never heard that old mantra.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like some people say, they'll go on it once. They'll go on fast ground once. So you can have a soft ground horse, and it likes soft ground, and they say, he'll go on it once. And then once he's been on it once, he feels.
Is this leading anywhere?
But in short, I think that Beat the Bank and Lord Glitters want softer ground, and then the rest of them aren't good enough to beat Century Dream.
So you tip in Century Dream?
Yeah. He doesn't want soft ground, does he? Okay. Don't think. I think he likes fast ground, yeah.
DJ.
Maybe he does.
Shut up!
Can I just say, the funny thing about all of that is Century Dream has won 7 times. He's won on soft, heavy, soft, and good to soft. So of all the horses running the race, the one horse that needs soft ground is Century Dream.
I was really hoping that someone wasn't going to say that.
So, the flimsiest tipping case of all time. Yeah, the one thing he thinks true is it's just got kicked to smithereens by DJ.
So what we're saying is the first three in the market don't like the ground.
Right. DJ, come on, who'd you like?
I'm glad you came to me first because I think me and Niall are going to... Oh, I thought you were coming to me before Niall. Sorry.
Well, I went to G-Rod first and coming to you second.
Yeah, but before Niall.
Go on.
I think we're going to tip the same horse here. I think Beat the Bank will win. I know you can say that possibly you go back and you see that his Group 3 win at Goodwood was on soft ground, and you know, even when he won at Newmarket, when he won the Group 2, beat Sir John Lavery, that was on good soft ground, but I thought that was a cracking run in the Queen Anne. And nothing really went right, because when the race really began in earnest, Beat the Bank was in the worst possible position. It looked like he was in the best position, but he's in the worst possible position, didn't get a clear run. Like, he finished really, really strongly, like so many in that race, but he was quite keen in the early stages as well. I think he's just a really improving 4-year-old, and I don't know if that many of these are improving. The likes of A-Rod, Eminent, like, do you know what? They've been there, they've done it, they're on the way down. I think Beat the Bank is on the way up, and I think he'll win.
Good race this, isn't it? DJ has tipped you, Niall, to tip Beat the Bank. Is he right?
Yeah, he's on the money. Yeah, Beat the Bank was one of the biggest eye catchers, I thought, the whole of Ascot. I think he'd be really hard to beat here. He just got no run at a crucial time, and then he picked up all the way to the line. He just looked like a horse that could be on the improve. I do agree with Graham in that I think he may need softer ground to be at his best, but that can also be said for his main rival, Century Dream, which I had written down here. So yeah, I think Beat the Bank can do it. One that does look overpriced is Circus Couture, 20-1 in places. He ran a massive race in the Hunt Cup under a big weight, and the time of that race compared really well with a group race on the same card. So yeah, I think I can see him going well for a stable that had a big winner yesterday.
Okay, jolly good. Right, let's go across to France. What a great sporting weekend it is if you're French. You've got the Tour de France continuing. You've got the World Cup final on Sunday. Lucky things. And it's Bastille Day, so that means the Grand Prix de Paris, which is one of the big Group 1 highlights of their year. It takes place at 7 o'clock at Longchamp. And over 1.5 miles, I can tell you, Paddy Power bet 13-8 DXB, 2-1 Kew Gardens, 6-1 Neuf Bosque, 15-2 Nelson, 11-1 Downdraft, and 16-1 Follamore. Who's going to win this one, DJ?
I think this is priced up completely wrong. Kew Gardens should be favourite. I did an interview with Aidan O'Brien back in March, and when we're walking out, I think I can say this now because a lot of the season is gone. We're walking out, I said, Aidan, just is there any horse like that, maybe a little bit under the radar to follow for the season? And he said to me, I'm not going to do his impression because I'm brutal at impressions. He kind of said, Kew Gardens is the one horse that the lads are people don't rate highly. He says, but wait until the season draws on. You're going to see the best of Kew Gardens. He's a horse with a big, big future. I think he could be the St. Leger winner. And I just think that run by DXB in the Irish Derby was pathetic, really. And
but was it the ride or the performance?
Oh, it was a bit of everything. I just don't know if you can trust him. I know his form figure suggests he's very consistent, but like, he was well beaten by Crossbatten, like, and he was. You have to remember, like, these two horses met last season in the Zetland at Newmarket, and Kew Gardens destroyed him, absolutely destroyed him. I think Kew Gardens is getting better. I think Longchamp, 1.5 miles is perfect. Kew Gardens should be favourite.
I love that little story about your meeting with Aidan O'Brien. Very good info, that. So he was saying that the horse will basically come to himself halfway through the season, and that looks like it's happening. Okay, with that in mind then, Niall, do you fancy Kew Gardens, or do you think DXB can get back on track after his horror show last time at the Karun?
Yeah, this is a funny race. I was just discussing with one of the other lads. I'm not sure what way the ground is in France. Like, it's down as soft, but it could be anywhere between good and good to firm. So on that note, I wouldn't fancy DXB at all. I'm actually going to take on the two of them with Nelson. I've just been following this horse all season. I think the drop and trip might suit him better than Kew Gardens, who I do really like for the Leger. So yeah, I'm just going to go with Nelson, but I'm not really confident here.
Are you confident, G-Rod?
Not particularly, but I do think Nelson is the one of the two Aidan O'Briens. I thought at Royal Ascot he was given a really strange ride, almost as though, we're going to blast him and we're going to try and set this up for Kew Gardens, and it worked out perfectly. I don't think he'd be being blasted here because the French racing is notorious for not going any pace, so he might well get an easy time of it in front. And if he does, I reckon he might be able to reverse that Royal Ascot form.
Okay, jolly good. Right then, before we get the naps, we've got all the other stuff. There's meetings at Chester, Navan, Limerick, Newton Abbot, Salisbury, Hamilton on Saturday. It really is. There's so much to choose from, something for everyone. So is there any horses, chaps, that aren't your nap that people should be backing? David Jennings.
Yeah, Bruce, in the final race at Newmarket, it's the 4:30. I like the chances of Drill, trained by Luca Kamani, ridden by Jared Mosse. It was sent off favour for a handicap at Salisbury last time off the same mark, and it looked like it didn't stay. It was his first time over a mile and a half, but I just thought, it was experience in a handicap. It was a proper handicap, possibly a better race than this, and I just thought it needed the experience. And it's interesting that Luca Kamani has persisted with a mile 4, and maybe it might be ridden a little bit differently here, but I think Drill will win that 4:30 at Newmarket. And just one other one running in Chester in the what race is it now? 1 second. It is the 3:15. There's a listed race at Chester at 3:15, and I just think a track like Chester is made for This Is Us, who was disappointing, but it may have been racing on the worst of the ground last time at Windsor when it was sent off a short price favour for their big race. I think it was last Saturday week, and I think Chester, tight track, get plenty of cover, got no cover at Windsor. I think This Is Us will win the 3:15 at Chester.
Niall, what have you got for us?
Yeah, I just have one 3:35 Ascot. I really like cross counter. I thought he ran really well at Ascot and raced. It's already working out very well. He'll be favoured, I'd imagine. Though any bigger than 5-2 would be a bet for me.
And G-Rod, you've been frantically scrolling around on the Racing Post app. To any avail?
Yeah, because I know there's a few.
Oh.
Just got to find them. So, Newmarket is in the 4:30.
Yeah.
Final for Mark Johnston. Ran well last time out at York, runs off top weighted, drops in class. I think that will be up to winning the 4:30. And there's one at Ascot, which is in the same race as that cross counter, 3:35. And it is another one of Mark Johnston's. It's called Elegiac. Yeah, Elegiac. Finished 10th in the race at Royal Ascot that Johnson had about 6 runners in. He's already had one winner of that lot come out and win since. That was Making Miracles, who absolutely bolted up in that race at Haydock last time. Elegiac was only a few places behind him and has won since. He looks like a typical Mark Johnston improver.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's get the naps.
This will not be beaten.
David Jennings.
Blue Point, 2:15 Newmarket.
Niall O'Reilly.
3:20 Newmarket, Mockerab.
And Graham Rodway even.
140 at Newmarket, Von Blucher, each way.
25-1.
Yeah, really fancy.
Okay. Let's have a little look at Sunday. They're racing at beautiful Killarney over in Ireland. There's also Sligo action, and in England it's Perth, Stratford. No, it's not Perth in England. Pardon me. In Britain, Perth, Stratford and Sligo. Does anyone fancy anything? Niall O'Reilly.
Yeah, sorry, can I just mention one thing, Bruce? Sorry, just our new initiative. We're doing a minimum bet late to lose on all of Newmarket tomorrow and all class 1 and 2 races elsewhere. So it's basically, it guarantees everyone a bet to win at least £500 or euro.
Excellent. Right? Jolly good.
And Killarney on Sunday, I've only really had time to look at the one race. It was the 3:30. I quite like Most Gifted. She has a £6 swing with Petticoat for 2 length beating. She won comfortably last week in an average race, so I think this track would really suit. She gets weight off the older horses and they look average to me. And there just doesn't look to be a star in the race, so provided she's Aidan's first string, when jockey bookings come out, I think she'll be the bet.
Graham, have you got anything for us on Sunday?
No, I can't say that I've had too much of a look. I'm not going to try and come up with a half-assed case, obviously. I would never do that.
Perish the thought that you come up with a half-assed case for anything, eh? Witness the 120 at Ascot. And David Jennings.
Yeah, I had one horse to follow at Killarney, and it's like I'm in Niall's brain here. Most Gifted, I thought, looked a different filly at Naas. It was only a 3-runner race, but tactically, you think down to 6 furlongs at Naas, you kind of wonder would she be able to cope with the extra speed test. But like it was so comfortable under Pádraig Beggy. Like she really won that convincingly, far more impressive than winning margin suggests. Full Moon was in second. Full Moon is no mug, rated 96, and I think Most Gifted is going to be even better when she gets cover in a race over a mile, which she's likely to get here. And she's one of these fillies, like you just have to cop on to Aidan when he starts running these fillies week in, week out. There's no knowing how much improvement he's going to get out of them. So I think Most Gifted, pretty confident selection in 3:30 at Killarney.
Okay, we have got a World Cup postcast out now in which Mark Langdon and Dan Childs very eloquently explain who's going to win the World Cup. Less eloquently, and we'll give the lads a quick chance to show they're good judges on football as well. Just give me the score in the World Cup final. Graham Rodway.
I'll have to go for 3-0 to Croatia, because obviously they beat England, so they must be very, very useful side.
That was pathetic. David Jennings?
Yeah, just a shout out to Dan and Mark. Like they are just like, that is my bedtime listening. Like Aoife's beside me and I'm kind of going, she's like, what are you listening to? I'm listening to the football podcast and the Racing Post.
They're good boys, aren't they? Eh? I mean,
fantastic.
that Kieran Trippier, 55-1 first score. What a tip that was.
And like I've never met Dan before, but he's so modest. Like if that
Lovely
was me
fella.
tipping a 55-1 shot, I'd be like, tell everybody. Like, do you know?
I know.
But
Fantastic. Who do you think's going to win the World Cup then?
I fancy France, but the two things I'll probably back. I thought Pogba was the best player in the semi-final. I thought he was exceptional, and I'm a Pogba hater, so I'd be backing Pogba to get man of the match.
Okay, and Niall, who do you think will win the World Cup final?
Yeah, just echoing what the lad said, that football podcast, I'm a big listener as well. I think it's unreal. Yeah, I
Your
think
man
France,
Jason's good. Jason Murphy, very good indeed. He does your role in that. He's excellent.
Yeah, pretty shrewd guy. I fancy France. 2-0 would be the score I'd be going for.
Okay, are you racing this weekend, G-Rod?
No, I would like to go, but I think the missus has organised a barbecue tomorrow, so I think we will be barbecuing and going on the steam railway, which is not far from my house, so that's going to be exciting. Hopefully I'll make it back in time for the fourth place playoff, which obviously nobody wants to miss, do they?
No good. What's your weekend plans, David Jennings?
I'm in Navan tomorrow working, and Sunday I'm off. And I'll tell you now, because I have the message here. Aoife wants me to go to 1 second now, because I heard it and I just said, yeah, that's grand. But it is. Hold on, go to Niall first, because I'll find the message.
Okay, Niall, what's your weekend plans?
Tonight we actually have our summer barbecue, so going for drinks with the ones from work. Now I'm meant to be working in the morning, but I've invented a new shift which I haven't told my manager about tomorrow. So yeah, 2 to 5 it's called.
Oh my goodness, that sounds good. And Sunday?
Yeah, I'm working Sunday. So.
Working. You boys do work hard, don't you? Honestly.
Yeah, tough life.
Come work at the Racing Post, absolute holiday camp by comparison. Come on in, DJ. We're all ears.
Yeah, can't wait. I know. Well, the message says a Sea Good Rocks Festival is on in Clotterhead, but I presume that must be Seafood Rocks. That's one of them dictionary spells.
Yeah.
So it's Seafood Rocks Festival in Clotterhead. That's for me on Sunday.
That's not
Bring
bad.
it on, baby.
That sounds good. Okay,
There's something fishy about that message.
Absolutely. Have a good weekend. Thank you very much. Good luck with your betting. I hope the boys have been able to give you some winners. And don't forget, if you do enjoy the shows, please do rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Maddie's back on Monday to look back on this weekend and look ahead to more summer goodies.
Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is the Paddy Power, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather, or the gym.